Hello and welcome back to Finding the Alternative short video series. This is video number 5 about King David. Let's go. First thing is that this was not originally taught by ahnsahnghong, but rather Yeom-Su-In. She wrote a book entitled God in the Flesh, published in 1977, that taught this exact prophecy before ahnsahnghong did. Yeom-Su-In's teaching about King David was accepted by ahnsahnghong, and the WMSCOG credits him as the one who came up with it, but that is not the case. Hosea chapter 3 verse 5 says, "Seek King David in the last days." Jesus fulfilled this 2,000 years ago. How? Jesus received the throne of David as was prophesied in Isaiah chapter 9 verses 6 to 7, and you can see it come into fruition in Luke chapter 1 verses 31 and 32. What about the words "in the last days"? Well, the apostles considered the time Jesus appeared as the last days. Some examples of this are Acts chapter 2 verse 17, Hebrews chapter 1 verse 2, 1 John chapter 2 verse 18, Hebrews chapter 9 verse 26, etc. According to 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 4, King David reigned a total of 40 years and 6 months, not just 40 years. 7 years and 6 months in Judah and 33 years in Jerusalem. This does not equate to 3 and 37. If we're going to consider the literal time of David's reign as a prophecy, shouldn't the spiritual reign match exactly then? Also, Jesus was about 30 when he was baptized, not that he was exactly 30. About 30 could mean 29, or 31, or even 32. Like, I'm making this video when I'm about 30, but in actuality, I'm 29. So it appears we're making a definitive prophecy based on indefinite evidence here. So make of that what you will. Then why about 30? That was customary for the rabbis or teachers to begin their ministry. Why? Because in the Old Testament, 30 was about the age people were considered mature and could do priestly duties. Some examples of this are Genesis chapter 41 verse 46, Numbers chapter 4 verse 3, and 1 Chronicles chapter 23 verses 3 to 5. Now, how long does Jesus reign spiritually? 3 years? The Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 9 and Luke chapter 1 that Jesus reigns spiritually forever and his kingdom never ends, to say nothing of 3 years. By the way, where in the Bible does it say that Jesus must complete this 37-year reign to fulfill prophecy? It doesn't exist. Jesus said at the cross, "It is finished." Now you may say, well, Jesus was saying that his work at the first coming was finished and that there are still prophecies left to be fulfilled. But again, why would Jesus say, "It is finished"? If there are still prophecies yet to be accomplished, it means it is clearly not finished. The definition of finished is an act of bringing something into full completion or to an end. Then who is lying? Jesus who said "it is finished"? Or WMSCOG saying actually it's not finished because we need it to be not finished? You decide. Jesus mentioned a baptism he had to undergo in Luke chapter 12 verse 50. This is not referring to some secret baptism in 1948. Because when you read Mark chapter 10 verse 35 to 40, Jesus tells James and John that you will be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with. Now, did Jesus say these words before or after his baptism by John the Baptist? It is after. So if it is some secret baptism in 1948, then why did Jesus say James and John will be baptized with that same baptism? Then what does Luke chapter 12 verse 50 mean? It is referring to the suffering Jesus is going to go through at the cross and his burial. Paul makes this reference in Romans chapter 6 verse 3, where Paul connects baptism to Jesus' death and burial. Also, Passover is not the sign of David. There is no evidence in scripture or otherwise that says or hints at David ever keeping Passover or any of the feasts in the Old Covenant. If I am mistaken, please post the verse in the comments and I will make a correction. How do we know David didn't keep the feasts? 2 Chronicles chapter 35 verses 16 to 18 tells us that the Passover had not been celebrated since the days of Samuel, David's prophet, and that none of the kings of Israel had ever celebrated such a Passover as did Josiah. 2 Kings chapter 23 verses 22 to 23 tells us that not since the days of the judges and the kings of Judah had any such Passover been observed until Josiah. Then, lastly, what is the everlasting covenant God made with David? 2 Samuel chapter 7 and Psalms 89 gives us a clear answer. God swore to David that his line would be established forever, and that his throne will be firm throughout all generations, and that his throne will last forever. This was fulfilled by Jesus, who came as a descendant from the line of David, and Jesus' spiritual reign lasts forever, and his throne lasts forever. Everything was fulfilled perfectly by Jesus 2,000 years ago in regards to King David's prophecy.